Hey there. Good morning, everybody. I'm back. Let's talk about Kobe Bryant and his memorial service and really the lessons learned from the memorial service. Hey, everybody. I see you jumping on. Let me make sure I got this right. Okay, I see you jumping on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey there. Glad to see you on Dallas. Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Waving to everybody. All right. Let me get my YouTube family connected. Okay. So, of course, yesterday was the memorial for Kobe Bryant. Excuse me. Of course, we lost Kobe earlier this month in a tragic plane crash. He and his daughter Gigi, as well as seven others. And um, I just can't even imagine what Vanessa must be going through. And I thought, she showed incredible strength by being able to even be present at the memorial, let alone getting up and speaking. And so I honestly think that she has been a class act this entire time. I also commend her for making sure that the other families are given attention and that, they're just not forgotten because they didn't have the fame and the celebrity of Kobe. So it is, let's see here. So I commend her for that. So I want to talk about, as you guys know, I like to talk about what's happening in the community, in our pop culture. And it's been a minute since I've been able to do this. So I'm live over in the comments in YouTube. So I invite you to join me there, of course, over on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button so that you subscribe to my channel. And I want you to hit the notification bell so that you'll receive a notification whenever I go live. So here we go. First off, the lessons learned, and that is that Kobe, of course, I think he was often misunderstood. People said he was very arrogant, and I had somebody share with me that Kobe was so focused on being excellent at his craft that he had focus. And so his focus kept him committed and sold out 100% to what he believed uh, he was able to do, what he was able to achieve. And that is a lesson right there in and of itself, is that you have to believe so much in yourself that you know, that people will look at you and think that you're arrogant. No, it's just that you're passionate and you believe in yourself to the point that you are willing to invest everything you've got into achieving your success. So, let me make sure I am doing this one thing right, you guys. Okay. So, I love that about Kobe. So, he was committed to his success. Type in some notes over here in the comments on YouTube. He was committed to himself and he did what it took to achieve success. Can't spell, sorry. Okay, so that's just the fact. That's just, it is what it is. Let me just say this though. I had the pleasure of meeting Kobe very, very, very briefly, like just in passing. In fact, he said a kind word to me when I was out in LA January 6th for the movie screening of Just Mercy. I was there working it from a hospitality standpoint, and he walked by me and he thanked me for serving. I just thought that was so kind. He tapped me on my shoulder and said hello, and then he said thank you for serving because I was the one making sure that the VIPs could get in and get seated. So I just thought that was really kind of him. And then, of course, he gave a greeting to the audience and introduced the cast of Just mercy. So anyway, my one brief moment of meeting Kobe Bryant. So that was great. And literally like a month before the Lord called him home. So he was so committed to his craft. Now I love that upon retirement that he decided to do what else God had assigned to his life. So basketball was his lowest hanging fruit. Everybody type that in, lowest hanging fruit. And this is what I teach my entrepreneurs is that always go with your lowest hanging fruit first. I know that you got dreams and goals and you love sewing, you love designing, you love singing, you love writing poetry, you want to write books, you want to, be a movie star. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. But when you're first getting started, go with your lowest hanging fruit. Let me type that in YouTube. Go with your lowest hanging fruit. So what does that mean? That means go with what comes naturally to you. Go with what people already know you for. Go with what people already trust you for. And of course, go with what people already like you for. So Kobe was, a basketball player. I love that Michael Jordan, when he gave his sentiments, he shared that, Kobe asked him, my daughter's 12, what should I be sharing with her about, getting her moves going or whatever. And he said, Michael Jordan said, well, at 12, I was playing baseball because Michael Jordan was going after his lowest hanging fruit. At 12 years old, that's what he was good at. All right. So you go with your lowest hanging fruit. That doesn't mean you can't achieve and pursue your other dreams, but you shouldn't try to have 5 balls up in the air. I want you to have one up in the air that you do well, that you do so well, that it brings in an income stream, that it affords you the time, the luxury of time, so that you then can start focusing on your other low hanging fruits. All right. So you might be a really good singer, but right now you're known for being a great seamstress. Do that thing. Become a seamstress, get known for that, start making money off of it. And then you can start recording your EPK and your CD and all that stuff. And you start building that audience. Because why would you want to start from ground zero? That's what happens when you start to pursue something that's not your lowest hanging fruit, that people don't know you for, then you've got to build that audience. And we all know that your audience, those are people that will support you, but it is your tribe that will pay you. And your tribe takes a while to get people to shift from audience to tribe member. Okay. So, all right, good. Just making sure. All right, people can see me on Instagram. All right, I see you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Coming in there. So, number 3, lessons that we learned, from the memorial on yesterday. This was a hard one. I put it on Facebook, but Kobe Bryant's, I was going to say personal family, but his intimate, his family, his mom, his dad, his sisters, they didn't say anything at the memorial. And they, of course, have known him longer than anybody at the memorial. They've known him longer than anybody at the memorial. So I know there's history, and I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the history. So I didn't forget. Look, let me take my glasses off. The fact of the matter remains that they were his parents and they were his sisters. Now, I, of course, don't know the whole backstory. Maybe they spoke at his funeral, which was private. Now, we know that he had a falling out with his mother. The Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And it turns out that his mother tried to sell, or his parents, I guess, tried to sell some of his memorabilia for $500,000. And I read an article where Kobe said that he had offered them, a house. Maybe it was a new house even, or another house, I should say. But he had offered them a house, and his mother was like, this isn't grand enough. And, in Kobe world, it probably was, I don't know, $400,000 or $500,000. I don't know. But anyway, she was trying to sell his memorabilia for another $500,000. And so maybe in her mind, she felt like she deserved to live in $1 million house because of the money that he made. Now, I watched a story on him, and he said that he cut his sisters off because he wanted them to learn how to take care of themselves. Now, I'm a sister, and so I, I, I can see the importance of that. You know, I'm single. Um, if I didn't know how to take care of myself, I would be in a heap of trouble, right? Thank God I know how to take care of myself. I'm running a successful business. I have a successful speaking business. I have a successful coaching business, and I host events, all of that because I have to eat, right? And if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. And so Kobe probably said same thing with his siblings, his sisters. You all need to know how to work so you can take care of yourself. Now, I don't know that he didn't bless them. Well, I guess he did because he said that he cut them off. So he probably gave them a lot, to get started, but then he cut them off so that they would go to work. And I saw where one of the sisters was at the house with Vanessa and the new little baby. So I guess, there was a relationship still there. So I get it. When you are a person that has a lot of wealth, when you have a lot of means, people will pull on you, especially your family. They will come from out of the woodworks. So I get that. Because Lord knows, I'm a church girl and I see people pulling on the pastor, pulling on the church, wanting money, and then, they go home and sit. That's not fair. If we're out here working, then you ought to be out here working. And so, in fact, my pastor just said Sunday that, he's seen some people, begging on the side of the road, at the stoplights. And he's rolled down his window and said, well, follow me to my church. I got a job for you there. And they're like, no, I don't want that. Well, why should you get to live off of my hard work, right? That's not fair. So I guess in Kobe's mind, he was, honoring his parents with home and, but his mother wanted more. So they fell out. Well, in recent years, they've made back up. And it turns out, I guess he was in better relationship with his father than his mother. That's really sad because, she gave him life. But the lesson that we can learn from Vanessa in this is it looks like she stayed out of it. She honored the relationship that her husband had with his family. And so they were there. A lot of people said they didn't see them there. The reason why they didn't see them there is because though they were on the same row as Vanessa, they were in the next section. And so the cameras were on Vanessa. Yeah. And B, right? Beyonce with her hand touching, Vanessa's shoulder. All that was strategic. I'm sure Beyonce meant it, but it was all strategic. It's called camera placement. So, at award shows, you've seen it where they have the cutouts of the celebrities and they place them. They do that for camera placement so that the cameras know exactly where the celebrities are. So when their name is called, they can put their camera right on them and they don't have to go searching and looking around for them. So it appears Vanessa honored Kobe's relationship and probably wishes. We don't know what was in his last will and testament. We don't know any of that. But I would say that she honored the relationship that Kobe had with them prior to his passing. So, he was back in relationship with them. So she had them there, but maybe they weren't talking regularly. And so she, gave them a seat there. Now, I put out on Facebook that the sister in me, I would have been up on that stage and I would have said something about my brother. But, that's neither here nor there because my last name isn't Bryant and my brother wasn't Kobe. But I'm also the type that I would have reconnected that family dynamic because family's everything. And so it's so important that you understand the value of your family. So, money's not worth that. Money is not worth it. I'm telling you, at the end of your day, money can't hold you, can't keep you warm. It can't fulfill your purpose. That's why millionaires and really wealthy people, geniuses, they kill themselves because they've got all this money, but they don't have peace. They don't know Jehovah Shalom, right? So it's so important that we understand the importance and that true wealth rests in family. All right. So that is another lesson that we can learn, even from Vanessa, and that is that she honored her husband's relationship with his family. So now let's talk about some fun things from the memorial. Poor Michael Jordan. I loved the fact that he owned up that he was going to have to look at a new meme of himself for probably 3 years of himself crying because he was crying, Of course, it was coming from a sincere place. I even put on Twitter, where are the ushers? Why isn't somebody bringing Michael Jordan a tissue, or handkerchief? So, but I love that he took it in stride and said, now I got to look at a meme of me crying, again for the next 3 years. And let's talk about Shaq. I love the fact that Shaquille O'Neal, we know that he and Kobe had had a broken relationship that had recently gotten remended, or gotten mended, I should say. Sorry, not remended, had gotten mended. And so he was very honest and shared. In fact, he acknowledged the parents and sister. So I love that about Shaq. But he stated, in his comments that, they'd had a rough relationship, but, he was his brother. I even saw on social media where his response to the unfortunate notice of Kobe's passing, that he was Uncle Shaq to the girls. So he mentioned their up and down relationship, but of course, he loved Kobe as a brother. So I love that his transparency. So that's, let me just share that. It is so important that that when we are memorializing people, that we're transparent. You don't have to go to somebody's home going and share all these flowery thoughts, and that's not really how you felt about the person. Be transparent. If they ask you to speak, you know, hey, we had a rough relationship, I'm glad, that, we worked it out, but, I have to be transparent. And so, not that you have to tell, what the valley experience was that you had in the relationship, but you can say, that you're glad that the relationship was mended and that you were healed, and that the person was a great, person in your life or whatever. So I love that Shaquille O'Neal did that. Of course, Alicia Keys. And let's talk about Alicia Keys and this church. I don't even know if I should call it a church outfit because it was rather churchy, but I don't know that I would call it a church outfit. I was laughing because I told my one of my good girlfriends, I said, it's as if they all went to their church designers and said, give me, a church looking outfit. Even Beyonce, though, it was a beautiful, gold, suit or silk suit. She did, of course, have a lot of cleavage showing, but outside of that, it was church appropriate. So, and I felt like not Vanessa, I felt like Alicia Keys did the same thing. So, but of course, she played, I think it was Beethoven or whatever Kobe's favorite piece was. So, and how awesome is that, you guys, that he loved his wife so much that he taught himself by key how to play that piece. I mean, amazing. Some of us just tasked to write a love letter to somebody that we really care about can't do that. And yet he sat there and trained himself how to play that piece. Amazing. So, I also loved that the memorial service was, I think, under 2 hours. I'm like, can you believe it? Aretha, of course, we did her funeral and it took over 8 hours. I have a really good guy friend, and I went to his mother's funeral and it was over 4.5 hours. So y'all know, woo, we can do a funeral. So, because I had even said before Kobe's funeral that I really wish they would have a good old church funeral so that we could, really worship and express ourselves as a world, right? Celebrating his life. But they were Catholic, and so they had mass and they, had a Catholic funeral. So kind of the same thing with the memorial. I was really surprised that there wasn't any gospel music. I felt like Amazing Grace, kind of transfers whatever denomination. So I thought, well, surely they will play a little homage to Amazing Grace, but no Amazing Grace, no Lord's Prayer, none of that. It literally was just a memorial service for his friends to say their goodbyes and their final respects. Um, and then this will be my last point. When I said friends, it came to me. What amazing friends Kobe and Vanessa have, because I have not seen one, not only picture, but not one mention of the funeral that they had for Kobe and Gigi. Amazing. I know that when you do, VIP events that they ask you to check your phone at the door, but typically, um, and actually this can be a little tacky. I was looking online at the funeral of a well-known um, person in gospel music last year, and the people took all of these pictures and selfies and put them up. And I just thought about the level of sensitivity, the lack of sensitivity, knowing that the family was going to have to look at these pictures online forever. And so I felt like that they must have had the same rule that you had to check your cell phone, but they obviously didn't have that rule in the repast at the reception. But obviously, Vanessa had that rule because there is not one picture. I've been looking, not one picture online. I've gone to Getty Images. I've not seen anything of Kobe and Gianna's memorial service. Even when Whitney Houston died, y'all, they had a closed casket. But Lord have mercy, somebody got to the funeral home and they opened up her casket and took a picture. And then it was like, on the National Enquirer or whatever. So I thank God that Vanessa and Kobe had the type of friends that couldn't be bought. There was no price that could be paid to get them to go against the wishes of Vanessa and her family. So that's a very valid point, that you need friends that you can trust, that they can't be bought and sold for money, that they won't expose you, they won't lie on you, they won't you know try to kill you, right? Take you out over money. Now if you're doing something wrong